to talk about to go more a little bit more in depth with Federico Chiesa joining Liverpool. Um, not officially, he's flying out to Liverpool on the verge of signing the deal, his medical and all that. But with Chiesa coming in, number one, I do think this is look, the Mamar Dashvi signing, their first signing Liverpool made in the Arne Slot era. Let's be honest, this has potential to be a good signing as that future, goalkeeper, looking past Alisson. But to be honest, we don't see him having an immediate impact at Liverpool. In fact, he probably won't even have an impact for Liverpool for the next 3-4 years because I don't see a decline coming from Alisson. The fact he's only 31 years old, and he's 31, which is relatively not old for a goalkeeper, and you don't see a true decline in his play. So Mamar Dashvi, I think there's a better chance that he ends up, leaving Liverpool after a year because he realizes, he doesn't really have a shot here, than him really making an impact at the club. He's really gonna come in to be that number two, especially for the first year. So I don't think that's really big thing there. But with Chiesa is an interesting one. And the fact that, look, for me, this is extremely low risk and extreme high reward, because when you look at it on the surface, right? In this day and age, in this economy, the way transfers has gone, in this, in this footballing world nowadays, 13, 12 and a half, 13 million euros, it's essentially nothing. That is nothing in this sort of day and age for what you see for what players go for. It's really not. And this is a player that's suffered with injuries, has not really produced to the levels that we expected him to produce post that European Championship in 2021. Hasn't really reached those sort of heights at Juventus, but there's still quality there. What you saw, what he was able to do at that European Championship, leading Italy to a European Championship, kind of being that talisman, him, and he fits the sort of style of Liverpool. He's a great air replacement to Salah when you look at the fact that he's very, very direct. He likes to go out players. He puts fullbacks in dangerous situations because of how direct he is. He puts them on their back foot and he puts them in a position that they have to gamble. He's very vertical. He has pace. He has a good shot on him. He has a good curler. He has a good left foot. He has a good right foot. He's ambidextrous in terms of his feet. He can shoot with both feet. I think he's going to be a very beneficial player, actually playing not just from the right-hand side, but also playing on the left-hand side. He can give you both sort of positions. He can curl a ball from each foot. And he has real speed and sort of technical ability to go at players. He reminds me of a lot of some of the more direct wingers, Nico Williams, Mohamed Salah, players like that, players that are willing to take players on. He has that sort of direct nature to him. It's just whether he can stay on the field at Liverpool, right? Where he can stay on the field. And can he, get back to those highs? Because look, if he can be a resemblance of the player that he was at a European Championship for Italy, this is beyond a bargain for Liverpool. This is beyond a bargain for Liverpool, with the ability of how direct and how vertical he can be, playing in behind, the quality he has to take over games, the confidence that he plays in whenever he's playing at the high level, the sort of belief that he plays with. What I saw at the European Championship, and I know this was 3 years ago, and we can't keep going back to this when we talk about Chiesa, but what I can't stop thinking about is sort of the swagger. When you saw him play on the ball, there was a sense of confidence and belief that he was going to get past at least one man, that if you gave him any sort of room, that he was going to make you pay in terms of his ability to curl the ball in, in terms of his ability to play on the counter with his sort of positioning and his verticality. And look, at the end of the day, it's really, a no risk sort of situation for Liverpool. He doesn't work out. It's a 12 million down the drain, which is we usually associate 12.5 million as a crazy amount of money, but when you talk about these football sort of clubs, that's really nothing for them. And Liverpool has done a good job in finding players that are valued lower than what they should be, and really getting the best out of them. Really getting the best out of them. And I think Federico Chiesa, I think a change of scenery will do him wonders. Getting away from Juventus, getting away from that where, his confidence dropped and he wasn't really able to take the next level as expected at Juventus. Getting a fresh sort of scenery, playing for a new badge, new coach, new country. Getting away from the atmosphere that has sort of been a failure in his career. I think that's gonna do good for his mental, in terms of his psychological strengths, to come back from what was a bad move at Juventus, to sort of, if he's gonna reach the levels that he reached at the European Championship, and get back to sort of to the sort of trajectory, not project trajectory that he was on. I said trajectory that he was on post that European Championship. Then doing it at a club at Liverpool is what it is. It is what's if he can't do it at Liverpool, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Arne Slot will be able to balance him in there. I think that this first season, I think he's not gonna be a starter or anything, but someone that can ease himself into the team. I think with Salah sort of locking in on the right hand side, I do think Chiesa could be an option, not just as the right winger, and to give Salah some rest here and there, but I also think he can play on the left hand side too, provide some depth in there to play behind Luis Diaz, someone who can because I think he can play sort of in both positions, and I think he can be beneficial in both positions, again because he has a good left foot and right foot, and be a good squad player for Liverpool. And also another big thing is, if he's able to sort of regain the confidence, start playing sort of player that he was in the past. You sort of find yourself a replacement for Salah, in case Salah does not want to sign the contract and he wants to leave next season, which indication seems like that's a real possibility. If that's the case, now with a player like Chiesa, you kind of have your air replacement, not just the fact that he's a winger, but because he does some of the similar things that Salah does. He's very, very direct, wants to go at his fullbacks, wants to run in behind and receive the long ball. He's a good goal scorer too. Chiesa can score goals too. Very, very good goal scorer. In terms of being able to assist and be really the creative force, and he's not the most creative, when he was playing sort of centrally, that was not really his game. He's not really, that sort of clever player that can pick out a pass in behind, that can be very, very clever in sort of tight spaces and, find the right pocket. That's not what Federico Chiesa is. Chiesa is a sort of player, you get the ball to him in space, you allow him to attack fullbacks one-on-one and make something happen, and he will make something happen. But someone that's going to be that sort of tidy, sort of clever sort of player in midfield, that's not Chiesa. Chiesa is a player you give in space and you just let him work. Like another good example is Jeremy Doku. Jeremy Doku is a great example of that. And I like players like that. Don't get me wrong. Players like that are very, very good players, and players like that could be needed sometimes when you're trying to break a low block and you need someone in. And you need someone in that can get past a man or two and open up space for teammates. It's players like that as well. And also in counter-attacking situations, so if you're playing a team that leaves a lot of space in behind and you need a player to run out defenses and run in behind, players like Chiesa can be a deadly factor in that. So yeah, Chiesa, I think it is a low risk, high reward there, and I don't think Liverpool fans, but I do think, Liverpool fans, they've not really been extremely excited in terms of the transfer window. Liverpool have always sort of been a little bit moderate in terms of their transfer spending, in terms of their transfer strategy. They don't just go out and do things, which I don't mind. I think that's good. You don't want to be like, I'm not going to name clubs, but you don't want to just throw money here and there, and sort of expect it to be a magical fix. But, you have a new manager coming in, Arne Slot. You do need to back him a little bit. For your only two signings so far to be a goalkeeper, that's really not going to have any sort of factor for this season. And then a player that's sort of a not a gamble because it's a low amount of money, but a sort of a lottery sort of player, someone that you don't know what you're going to get. I think Liverpool could do a lot better in this transfer window in terms of getting players in that Arne Slot can immediately work as to improve the squad right away, to improve that starting 11 right away. Liverpool have not signed a single player that immediately goes into the starting 11. In my opinion, that's just not right. That's not how you back sort of a new manager. And it's a Liverpool team that started off really, really well. They've shown some really, really good signs. Played some really, really good football. And you can see, out of all the new managers that came in, you can see Liverpool sort of adapting their style of play to the manager a lot better than some of these other teams with their new managers. So, we know that Arne Slot knows what he's doing. I just wish that Liverpool... No, I don't wish that because obviously, Liverpool is a competitor to my team. But I wish that... or Liverpool fans should wish that, he can get players in that can immediately help this team right away. And I just don't think Chiesa I still think Chiesa is a great signing for the value that you get him. I think he's a great signing, and I think Liverpool can get I think they can get that Federico Chiesa get back. They just need to nurture him. I think a change of atmosphere is going to be beautiful for him, and I'd like to see what he does.